Oh, hey. So, the other day I was just driving along looking for a cheap gas station to fill up my car. Finding a cheap gas station is an art form in this country. You got to find the right location, and you also kind of have to get there faster than everybody else, otherwise you're going to be there all day. I'm sure you guys know this. It's become a phenomenon in this country. But it's an art form you've got to learn how to do. You need to know the nuances of it. Especially if you happen to live near the border of another state and that other state's got higher gas prices than you. Because if so, then that means you're competing against two states to get to your station before they do. And that's the situation I'm in. So I thought I was kind of clever. I had found a station that was really, really cheap and seemed completely out of the way. So I'm thinking, I found this place, no one else found it. I'm not going to have to compete. And I get there, and everybody and their grandmother's there. So after waiting in line for a good long while, and then threatening to run over a few people, and then maybe having to throw a couple of people over their cars to get to where I needed to go, I might have had to do that. I finally get to the pump, and then I have to go inside because I forgot to bring my card. That's okay, nothing wrong with paying in cash. The only problem with going inside, though, is that you gotta mingle with a couple of interesting individuals. The types that, might have never heard of a stick of deodorant. Types that don't wear shirts. Types who don't really need to wear shirts because their body hair covers up a good portion of their skin. It's an interesting state I live in. So anyway, while I'm there, I decided to load up on some green tea. I love green tea. I probably go through about a good 5,000 or 6,000 servings a day. Hell, I got green tea in this cup right now. So I get my 2 cans of green tea and I pay for it and I go out and start filling up my car. And I notice that there's a couple of guys looking at me while I'm filling up my car. Not that that's weird. I get a few stares every now and then. Probably because, I'm one of the few people around that actually has dreadlocks. You get the looks, I guess every now and then they look at me as if I'm something from an encyclopedia. They're like, oh wow, that's one of them Jamaicans from the TV. Whatever. So, fill it up. Get into my car and I drive off and I don't think much of it. So I notice that I'm being followed by 3 cars. Okay, so this is a problem. I start thinking maybe I'm being followed by the cops, and I don't know why, because I'm not speeding or anything, and my car is kind of unassuming, busted up station wagon. But then I'm thinking, wait a minute, they don't look like cops. They're not driving the usual black or white cars, and they're not undercover cops. You might be thinking, how would I know? Well, those of us in the know have paid attention and noticed that undercover cops seem to all drive the same damn car in town. Haven't you noticed that particular sedan, and no matter what color they color it, you can always tell just by looking at it? I don't know whether it's because it looks too new or just the way it's built. I don't know, but you can usually tell. Especially if they were stupid enough to put that extra fender in front of the grid. And, like the extra antennas, the really long antennas that they got in the back. I always thought that the purpose of being undercover was that people wouldn't know who you were, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But yeah, I'm thinking, okay, they're not cops. And I keep turning down this street, they're behind me, I turn down this other street. And I thought I finally gave them the slip, because I didn't see them. But then all of a sudden, all 3 of them are right in front of me, and one just like, right in front there. And I have to hit the brakes to keep from smashing into them. It's kind of hard to stop on a dime when you're in a station wagon, but I did pull it off. So as I'm trying to shove my heart back down from my throat, the guy in that car jumps out, the front one. The other 2, they just seem content to just stay there. He jumps out, and he immediately is like, get out the car, get the fuck out of the car now, get out of the car. I'm like, yo, chill. What the hell? So I'm thinking, maybe he is a cop. He's acting like one all crazy and everything. But then I think, alright, it probably isn't a cop. For one thing, he didn't flash his badge. Okay, wait a minute, that's not good enough criteria. Cops do that all the time to scare the shit out of you until later on. Okay, maybe it was the fact, I figured it out because as I was like, okay, what's the problem, officer? He looked offended, you're like, oh, no, fucking cop too! So that kind of confirmed it for me. That's kind of how I knew that, by putting all the pieces. So as I'm like saying, what the hell's going on? I said, you know what this is about, Jamal, get out the car! Another problem. My name's not Jamal. I don't know what it is. I seem to have this face that people just keep thinking I'm somebody else. I get it all the time. Hey, you look like Bob Marley. Hey, oh my God, it's Damian Marley. Yo, that's Chris Rock. Look, man, last time I checked and looked in the mirror, I looked like me, okay? Okay, so I look like my dad too, but still, I look like me. So as I'm trying to convince this guy that I'm not this Jamal cat, or whoever the hell he's supposed to be, they keep telling me, get out the car, get out the car. And I'm thinking they're going to blast me in the forehead. Well, that dude anyway. So, I finally get out. He still's got the gun pointed at my head. I'm like, yo, what's this about? I said, you know it's about Jamal. The boss thinks you're a liability. I think it's time that we cut your services out. Services are no longer wanted in the organization. Something like that. I honestly can't really remember, wasn't paying too much attention. It's hard to focus on details like that when, you got somebody yelling at you with a gun pointed in the face. Maybe in other circumstances I might have had some clearer details in my head. I could tell he was about to fire, so even though I'm trying to convince him that I'm not the guy and he must be mistaken and all that, I finally just said, let me just get the hell out of there. So I quickly ducked down, smart enough to keep the front door in front of me, and he already starts busting shots. I quickly run to the back of the car, trying to think of what to do. I was a little pissed because I wasn't able to grab the Jian, my sword, in my back seat. I usually keep it there for just such an emergency, but not an emergency like this. All I had in my pocket was this little pocket knife. Which, okay, start making the jokes about bringing a knife to a gunfight. I didn't know I was going to a gunfight. All I thought I was doing was filling up on gas. So I flicked the blade, because you want to be prepared, but it's not like I can rush the guy. He's firing his gun. Which was a nice gun, by the way. I noticed, as he was pointing the gun at me, you tend to focus on guns when they're pointed at your head. He was using a Steyr M1A. That's a nice gun. You usually don't see it in this country. It's an Austrian-made gun, and it's just well-crafted, very accurate, very little recoil, and very good ergonomics on the handle for good pointing ability. I mean, it's a well-made gun. You don't see it around in this country much. Most people tend to carry Glocks. Brownings is another good one. Of course, good old 45. Everybody likes that 1911 and all the different models, but I like the Steyr. It's a really good gun. I would have liked it a lot better if it wasn't pointed at me firing bullets. I would have liked it better if it was in my hand, but what can you do? So he's firing it, and I could tell by the little bit of a jump in his hand and the sound of the shots that he wasn't using. There's like 3 different versions. He wasn't using the 40, and he wasn't using the 357 bullets. He was using the 9mm. So I figured he had 15 bullets in his clip. If I can get to him just after that 15 bullet, he was mine. So I got ready. And sure enough, the 15 shot went off, and I rush over, and he was down. One quick cut to the jugular vein, and another quick stab to the back of his head. He went down like a sack of potatoes. It was a nice sight. Just nice speed and everything. You would have liked it. It looked cool. At least it looked cool to me. But I forgot about the other 2 guys. So they come out their car and they're pointing guns, and I quickly run back like a squirrel to the back of the car again. Once again, forgetting to go for my sword, like that would have helped. I don't know what it is about me bringing blades and gunfights. This is the very first one I've been in. What do you want from me? So they're firing Glocks, by the way. Told you they're common. And I'm like shitting bricks, wondering what the hell I'm going to do when I hear gunfire coming from another direction. And it causes them to scatter. And I see this other dude running over, and he just goes here and tosses me like this stick-like object. I grab it, and it's a sword. It's a Jian. But this is the Han Jian, the one made by Master Zhang. That's a good freaking blade. Cuts through bones like nobody's business. As I found out, because as that dude kept on firing and keeping them scattered, I was able to come around the other side, and with a couple of good cuts, took him out. One guy got his gun up almost in time, but sliced right through the wrist, hand flying in the air one way, and then with one cut, head coming the other way. It was almost action movie-like, except without the theme music. So I'm looking around at the bodies, and, thinking, oh my god, what are the cops going to say? But then I realized that, they had the guns, I had the blades, so obviously I'm not the aggressor. Stranger comes up to me, and he's like, you're pretty good with that thing. Well, I practice with it, so yeah, that's why I thought I'd carry it, following. You're following them? Yeah, I kind of knew they'd jump you. You tend to have that face. Yeah. You know those hitmen? Hitmen? Yeah. Wow, professionals. Yeah, you took out professionals. Wow, how about that? I guess my training really paid off. There was a lot of good money killing people like that. Really? You ever thought about it? Yeah. I don't know about that type of lifestyle, so it pays well. I can tell by the car you drive, you could use the money. You got a point. You know what? I will just kind of get out of here. I know a bar around the corner. I don't drink, man. Well, I'll drink and talk. You listen. I figured, okay. And that's how I met Tex. What, you still here? Come on, let's see the story. Go on.